Page 10, Jazz Nocturne in B flat major. Well, that's a mouthful. There's quite a bit going on here, so let's take a look at this. I'm going to use my procedure for learning a new piece of music. Everybody has their own. I have a series of steps that I go through to learn a new piece of music, and that's what I use in these videos. So first, to look it over, it's 3 pages long. Treble and bass clef at the beginning, okay. 2 flats, well, B flat major, it's in the title. Okay, make sure you can do the B flat major scale and the G minor scale, because that also has 2 flats. Just do them both. Now we're in 6/8 time, so suddenly now maybe not quite so bad, because now an 8th note gets a count. I'm going to take it one hand at a time. I like to try and find a fingering where I can play everything legato if I can. I have a few suggestions. We can't always and everything, but we do what we can. So at the beginning, I'm going to be doing a 2/4, and the next measure is a 1/3, and then for the other 8 notes, it's a 2/4. I got them all. So 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 1. Then I come up on at the end of the line, the measure 4. When I come up here, I do a 2, 3 here. I don't want to be up here. So I'm doing, and I'm connecting the top note, if I can, to measure 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Then go on thumb. And this is measure 8. For the E flat, I do a 2, 3 here. Here. I don't want to use thumb on both. Here. Try and see what you think. And then measure 9, you can do a 1, 2, 4. They got you using a 3. I don't recommend it. 1, 4. 2, 3. This measure 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. This is fine here. Measure 13. You're up here. You don't have to, because you came off of the octaves. You can do a 2 here if you want. That way your thumb is ready to go on. Oh, we got rhythms going on here. Let's look at this. No. So measure 13 is a little weird. In the first 3 beats, you get those 2. That's the first 3 beats. So I go 1 and 2 and 3 and. It's 1 and 2 and. It's on the end of that. 1 and 2 and 3 and. 4 and 5 and 6 and. It's kind of important you get that, because you get straight 8th notes in the other hand. So it's one rhythm against another, called a polyrhythm, multiple rhythms going on. It's not so bad when you play it by itself, because they're just 1 and 2 and, but you're coming. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have to work on that. Then on measure 19, you're here, and the D is tied across both measures. You hold the D down, and then measure 20, you're playing the G. It's a B flat here, because that natural sign is only good for that measure. So this is a B flat, and then I'm still holding the D down as I do the other. This stays down here. So, and then we come back to what we're doing. Then at the end of measure 22, we get a change of key signatures. They didn't do it quite right, but I understand what they're after. Now we're going into the key of D major. See, my problem with what they've done is they didn't take the flats away. Technically, you're supposed to get rid of the flats before you add the sharps. Otherwise, we end up with 2 flats and 2 sharps at the same time. That doesn't make any sense. So they should have had 2 natural signs to represent getting rid of the flat signs, and then put in the sharp signs. They could do it all right there together. And generally in music you'll see that. We're going to pretend that the flats are going away, and now we're just dealing with 2 sharps. F sharp and C sharp here. Can on the measure 27, do a 2, 3 there if you can. Save the thumb. If you can't, then you'll have to do that and bring thumb again. But on measure 28, I want 2 and 3 here. Here, I don't want to bring the thumb up here. Here. We had the similar fingering over before. Then for measure 32, 33, 34, we get the same thing we had before with triplets. 1. Now, measure 35, F natural. I measure 36, that's still an F natural. Here, the tied note, the natural, the accidental carried across. So we're still at F natural there. And again, going on, it's still an F natural. It goes across the bar line. And then you lift up and come down, and we get our 2 flats back. But they didn't take the sharps away. We'll just pretend we're back in the key of B flat. Bass clef, treble clef, I'll come back to the end when I put the hands together. And the left hand, where you're down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Okay, let's go over to measure 7 to here. They got you doing here. Here, I prefer not to. So I'm going to do a 1, 3, just reach up a little bit, 2, 1, here, 1, 2, 3, across the thumb 1 time, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, here at measure 10 you have a choice, but again, going on measure 11, I had 1, 3, 2. Even in measure 12, 1, 3, that's the chord. Why not finger it that way? So again, measure 11, 1, 2, 3. And then going on, 1. This is measure 14, 1, here, 2, 3 here, and then 3 here. So it's I'm going to keep using that same finger. I just want a fingering that sort of works and lets me connect them together and doesn't feel too awkward. And you have to have fairly decent sized hands or you can't do that. You can't do that, you're stuck pretty much with the fingering they've got. Yeah. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with fingering in the book. It's just I prefer not to cross over my thumb anymore, and I have to. And the size of my hands allows that. So if the size of your hands allow it, go for it. Measure 37. They've got 1, 3, 4, and that's okay, it works, but I prefer 3, 2, and just a 3, 2, 3. Just 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1 once I got there. Yeah. Now when I get to measures like 39 and 40 in the left hand. You can if you want, thumb on both. I don't like to. Here. I prefer to finger it that way if your hand's big enough. If not, that's fine. I like to connect that if I can. But otherwise, you can slide off. When I go to put the hands together, I hesitate all over and I don't care. I just want to know when the hands are working together. So it's like at the beginning. 4, 5, 6. Make sure you hold the left hand down. Again, hold the left hand down. Make sure you hold these left hands down on here. There's no rest in there to speak of. Slowly I put the hands together and I work out the tough spots and I get rid of the hesitations. So it's smooth. It can be slow, but no hesitations allowed. And then once I have that, I think about the articulation. Here it's just pretty much smooth and connected. It's all pretty much connected. If you feel the phrasing and you lift up in the right hand to feel the phrasing, that's great. You may not be able to hear it because of the pedal, but nevertheless, you can still do the technique for it. Dynamics, well, they go to the melody. Here at the beginning, there is no melody. It's mezzo forte or moderately. There. That's the melody. Now, all that was introduction here. That's what we want moderately loud. Everything else has to get in the background. And there should be no doubt in the listener's mind or ears what's melody and what isn't. For instance, in measure 8. Those first 4 notes are not melody. They need to sound like background. The melody is the last 2 notes. That comes out. So it's that. It should be clear to them that's melody. Just like you had the pickup. The pickup, well, we get it again. And so starting at measure, 7, it's here. You get the idea? Measure 12 here. Now, when measure 13, you're loud because you crescendo to measure 12 here. In the right hand, you're loud. Come down moderately soft now. Loud. Now on page 12, as far as the dynamics go, you can read them fine. Let's go down to the last line, measure 44. We're moderately soft in here. We've been moderately soft for a while. And now come out moderately loud here. This, keep it back in the background. Connect all that together, and you're getting softer, and you're slowing down again. And then this roll chord, and then both hands at the end. You have an ABA end and the bottom staff. If you don't have the notes, play the bottom, the lowest B flats you have, whatever. But those are the same now, that's right, because none of that's melody, it's just a chord. Now this rolled chord, you roll it. It's not necessarily done in rhythm. You can just roll it. It depends on the interpretation and the feeling you have. We've slowed down, we got soft. And sometimes when you do that, you can roll the chord slower and softer. I can even slow down in the chord. I can continue to slow down. It's not really rhythmic. I just feel it. Here and then here. It's interpreting it. How do you feel that rolled chord? Don't go up here and just hear all of a sudden, because that's out of context. We come down, we're gentle. It's a nocturne, which is kind of a sweet end of the day piece to help you fall asleep. And you don't want to end up, hello, even softly. I don't recommend a fast chord. You can slow that down. That's all right. The beat, the feel of the beat is pretty much over now. No, you ended that with here. The beat is pretty much over. Now you're just kind of where you're off in the where. Different people will interpret it differently, but that's how I would do it. As far as the speed goes, moderato cantabile is just a sweet in the middle somewhere. It's the overall feel of it. You'll sort of feel it in 2 or a fast 6. 1, 2. Just a real sweet overall feel of the beat. It's not necessarily the speed of the beat. I'm talking about it's the overall feel and flow of the piece. Cantabile is like singing style. Think singing in your head or something. Now they've added pedal on here, and you really need pedal on it. We want the overtones. We want to connect things together. And you can pretty much pedal like they're showing up. I could make all kinds of suggestions with the pedal to enhance, and you can experiment with the pedal to see maybe there's times when you want to lift the pedal up and kind of clean it out a little bit before you get it back in. There are different things you can do with the pedal, but for the purpose of this lesson, I'll just pretty much keep most of the pedaling the same except for a few spots I want to change the pedaling. It's going to be overlap pedal or lag pedal, where the notes do their thing first and then the pedal. And when I change the pedal, it's right after I play the notes. So the pedal lags behind the notes. So at the beginning, the notes, then the... You get the idea, I hope. Now, a couple changes I'd like to suggest would be like in measures 26 and 27. When you're here, I would like to clean out the end of those measures for a little contrast. So I'm going to lift the pedal up for the last two beats of each measure. Measure 25, we're here. I'm going to lift it up and not pedal those two beats. I'm holding that down. So you can do that if you want. You have to experiment with this sound, but you can clean it out just for those two notes, or if you prefer, leave it down. It's just different ways of interpreting the music. I mean, I could have done the same thing over here on page 10, like measure 5 here. I could have left up for those 2/8 notes. And like measure 8, I could have lifted it up for the last 2/8 notes. Different interpretations of the piece. It's not one way's right and one way's wrong. It's just different ways of playing the same piece. How do you feel it? I'll go ahead and pedal it like it's shown in the book for this lesson, but if I were going to do it, I would be experimenting with this pedaling to see if I couldn't have some difference, some variety in sound here so it isn't all just connected.